Hi everyone, it's Tatiana from Tatiana's Everyday Food and welcome back to my kitchen. So Thanksgiving is just around the corner, so it's time to get a recipe for the main star of your dinner. Now I know turkey is a very traditional meat to be served at the Thanksgiving table, but today I'm actually going to share an alternative that my family really enjoys. Today I'm making a whole roast duck. Now I love duck because it has that extra layer of fat on the outside and it keeps all those flavors and juices on the inside, so you have very juicy and very tender meat at the end. Now I know cooking a whole bird can be very intimidating, so I'm going to break down all the steps and I'm going to show you just how easy it is so that you can conquer your Thanksgiving dinner. Let's get started. Before we get started on our other ingredients, I'm going to put together a very simple seasoning that I'm going to use to rub on the duck. So I have a couple tablespoons of kosher salt. To that I'm going to add about a tablespoon and a half of smoked paprika, which is going to add so much amazing flavor and color to our recipe. And I'm going to add some ground black pepper. Just going to combine all that together, and that's it for our simple seasoning. And now let's get started with our recipe. So today I'm using a duck that's about 5.5 pounds. It's a pretty good size. Now you want to rinse it out once you take it out of the packaging and just pat it down dry with paper towels. And now I'm going to season the inside first. So I'm just going to sprinkle the seasoning that I prepared here on the inside. You want to make sure you're flavoring the inside and the outside. And now for stuffing our ducks, I want to fill the inside of it with lots of aromatics and herbs so that when it bakes in the oven, it's going to get permeated with all those different flavors. So I'm going to add about 6 garlic cloves, and I've just chopped these up finely, and I'm going to add a small bunch of fresh thyme. So what you want to do is just shove all those ingredients inside. I love adding lots of garlic. You can never have too much garlic. Next, I'm going to add my chopped shallots and red onion. Just stuff them all the way in there, along with some baby carrots. Now you can use regular carrots. These are just already cut up, so I thought these be a little bit easier for this recipe. Just shove that in there. And now that we have our duck stuffed, it's time to season the outside of it. So I'm going to sprinkle that seasoning that I prepared earlier. You want to be really generous with this. You want to make sure all that duck gets seasoned really well. And I'm just gonna take my hands and rub that salt into that flesh so the skin is really well seasoned. I'm gonna flip it over and we're gonna season the other side as well. So a lot of times the duck is cooked just like this, but if you want to tie the drumsticks together, you can absolutely do that, and it's going to make for a beautiful presentation. So you'll just want to take some butcher's twine and tie that right up. All right, and now it's time to get our duck into the oven. So I have my seasoned stuffed duck. I'm gonna transfer it into a roasting pan with a little shelf here. And this is gonna help keep the duck above the pan from, cooking in its own fat juices. So I'm just gonna lift the duck right up. And for the first hour, I'm actually gonna bake the duck upside down. And that way it gets roasted on both sides. You're gonna place it upside down. And I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And the duck will cook about 25 minutes per pound, so it'll be in the oven a little bit over 2 hours. Now, I do highly recommend getting a little thermometer, a digital thermometer, and the meat needs to cook to about 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm gonna roast it for about an hour on this side, and then we'll come back and flip it over. My duck has been in the oven for 1 hour, and now it's time to turn it over. Turn my duck over, and now it's time to put it back into the oven. At this point, you'll want to start basting it every 20 minutes, either using a pastry brush or a baster. You're going to start to see some of the grease collect on the bottom of your roasting pan. We'll just want to dip in there and just grease the top of that skin so it stays nice and golden and moisturized. I just took my duck out of the oven and it's almost done. I'm just going to baste it one more time with that duck fat. Make sure that skin is nicely saturated and moist. So while we're waiting for our duck to finish, we can garnish our serving platter. So I have some fresh rosemary, some sage leaves, some pomegranates, some cranberries, and some persimmons. And you just want to make a beautiful arrangement all over the tray. So when you place that duck into there, it's gonna just garnish and add lots of color to the tray. Well, once your duck has reached an internal temperature of about 160, you can go ahead and take it out and let it rest for another 15 to 20 minutes on the countertop, and it's gonna keep cooking, and the internal temperature should reach at about 165 degrees. So now it's time to transfer the duck onto our prepared platter. And that's it for our duck, guys. And now all you have to do is grab your carving tools and cut yourself a delicious, juicy slice of duck. And that's it for our roasted duck. And I hope with this video tutorial, I'm gonna help you overcome some of the intimidation about roasting a whole bird. Now you could take the same seasoning and stuffing that I've used for this recipe and use it for a turkey or a chicken. You'll just have to modify the cooking time to make sure that the inside reaches at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And now it's time to give it a try. And I've carved myself a piece of that duck breast because that's my favorite part of the bird. I love all the fat and just how juicy and tender that meat is. Guys, this meat is just to die for good. It just melts in your mouth. It's so juicy and tender, and that outer layer of fat has been rendered to perfection. It just melts in your mouth. And all that seasoning, that garlic and the smoked paprika have just permeated the meat, and it just tastes so good. It's so flavorful. You guys are gonna love how easy this is and how delicious it is. And I recommend serving the duck with my kale pomegranate salad. I have a separate video for that. You can find that in my video description below. Or maybe even some oven roasted sweet potatoes would go phenomenal with this dish. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video recipe. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and I'll see you guys next time.